Hi, welcome everybody to 1 Million Cups. It's almost coming up on a year we've been doing this. My name's Steve Cook. We have Dara Embreeze and Eric Renz Whitmore. Thank you. How many of you are first-time attendees? All right, a good number. Bruce, where's Bruce? Bruce, first time. Thank you, Bruce. What you're going to see is two local companies, talking about their company for about 6 minutes. So real short time, just enough to introduce themselves. And then after that, we'll have 20 minutes of not quite questions and answers, more like comments and more comments, and then maybe some questions and maybe some answers, but just an interactive dialogue with the companies themselves. If you have questions, ask them. If you have comments, throw them out. And then after that, you're welcome to stay afterward and talk with them or talk with each other and introduce yourselves. So there we go. Our first company today is Swell Starter with Brad Woodward. Thank you.
It should be. All right, thanks for coming out this morning. I'm going to breeze through this and use the time at the end for a lot of questions. How many people in here are a part of the Loop ABQ? Okay, great. So you'll be kind of familiar with what's going on. Everybody else, this is the technology behind the Loop ABQ. So a couple things for framework and thinking for feedback purposes. This is a bootstrap startup, started in Albuquerque, and we were founded and built within an existing company. So I know a lot of you, like me, when I come here, I'm like, well, how can I do this? I have a full-time job. How can I present something like this to my company? Granted, we are an advertising agency, so it is a little bit easier because we do have an innovation space, a lab space that we can build in. But maybe you can do that in your own company. We're on our second beta version. We just finished a big dev sprint with a lot of added functionality. We do have customers. There is customer validation. And there is some competition in the advocate marketing space. So again, all of this is framework stuff. It's developed in Laravel for developers. So how many people in here are involved with social media? They have a social media account, one social media account, and they're in a company, a community, a group, an organization. Everybody should have their hands up. If you're not in social media, then come talk to me. We need to work that out. This is something by Content Marketing Institute, so content strategy, content marketing. Social media is no longer the responsibility of one person in an organization. It's not the responsibility of your social media intern. It's not the responsibility of your social media coordinator. It's the responsibility of the entire organization. And so that's the framework that we set up in order to build Swell Starter. This is kind of what social media looks like for everybody. Everybody has their own path, their own channels, their own networks, their own way they share. You know, some people, some brands share really great stuff. We have Oreo. I'm sure you guys saw this. It was really timely during the Super Bowl a few years ago. This stuff blows up. That's great. Some people share a lot of, maybe interesting things to people. Cat videos, a lot of what I would consider bad content. But you be the judge. And some brands also, serve up some really bad, not thought through process stuff. This is something Gap did right after Hurricane Sandy, telling everybody, be safe, but we're going to be shopping indoors. Really insensitive. And this is stuff that big brands do all the time. I mean, you can Google that kind of stuff. So this is kind of what the network of networks look like. I'm sure if we drew something up, we would have something similar in this room. We're all kind of connected one way or the other. You can see that stuff in LinkedIn through, how many connections, are you a second or third degree connection. But we're all part of a brand, a company, a group, a team, a culture. And so we're all connected. And so one person's power, one person can have a lot of power and a lot of advocacy power with very little work. I mean, if you onboard a few advocates of your brand or even your personal profile, you can get a lot of reach. And so, again, this is another reason we built Swell Starter. So what if we had a way to get this great content into the hands of all our advocates. Right now they can retweet us, we can email them something, they can copy and paste it and put it in their social media account. What if it was so easy they could share or schedule content to their networks with a few clicks? So you could push this out to your 100, 200 advocates, and with a couple clicks they could share your content, and it can exponentially grow. So that's what SwellStarter is. I'm going to show you just a brief video clip. Is this on? Okay, just to explain, it's kind of a sales video, but we're a little proud of it. I know a lot about social media, and when my team has questions about social media, they come to me.
Hey Brad, if my mom endorses me on LinkedIn for being a handsome son, is that public knowledge?
Hey Brad, someone with the handle @MrHandsome1985 just started following me. Should I block him?
Hey, that's me!
I also know that social media is flooded with useless, just really bad content. And I want to make sure that my team has great content to share all the time. We're all super busy, so we need that content packaged, served up, and ready to go now. That's why we use SwellStarter. SwellStarter allows us to create a dashboard of social media content that's curated and ready to share now. I create one campaign schedule a week, sometimes two, and I load it with industry, company culture, innovative, just relevant, great content. My team then gets notified that the content is ready to share. They go directly to SwellStarter, and with a few clicks, they share or schedule that content. The content is preloaded, but you can choose to customize it however you'd like. You can also choose which social media networks to share on, and if the content just isn't right for any of them, you can choose to pass all of them. With SwellStarter, you can turn your whole team into social media gurus or ninjas or pros or whatever they're saying nowadays. SwellStarter. Thanks. I have a few more minutes, right? Do you have a couple minutes? Okay. So the process is really broken down into a couple things. You set up the campaign. Your team gets notified via email. It can be every day. It can be every week. The example I'll show you later is once a week on Mondays. You then go into your content dashboard. You view all the content. You can preview it. And you can share or schedule the content directly from here. So within a matter of a few minutes, you can distribute out 10, 12, 15 pieces of content really quickly. If I do have a few seconds, I will just take you through a live version. This is live right now. This is the Loops content. So this is a SwellStarter hub that was set up specifically for Albuquerque to spread positive Albuquerque content. We have about 250 members that are in this, so you've probably seen some of this content around. And this is this week's. This went out on Monday. I haven't shared or passed on anything yet, so I'll go ahead and take you through that really quick. If I wanted to read the article, I just go in and I could read it here before I schedule. And if I want to share, it's as easy as going in, selecting the networks. I want to share on all three. I want to schedule this for tomorrow at 10, and I hit schedule. So it's really that easy. It goes directly to your channels. And again, if for whatever reason, I actually shared this article already, I'm just going to go ahead and pass it. And once all my pieces are complete, I know I've done my part for that week. So this is the example for the community, which is Albuquerque, but you can incorporate this into your own business. You can incorporate this into your team, your club. If you have a lot of personal content, you can go ahead and build your own hub. So I know one of the things you guys are going to ask is, how can you help me? I'm going to go ahead and answer that really quick, and I can answer it at the end.
We're going to ask you at the end.
Okay. One thing that we're doing that's really nice is we're able to create this hub for Albuquerque and spread positive content, but it also does a lot of hallway testing for us. So we have a lot of local people, like I said, 250 that are already on this. It allows us to hallway test, like I said, and also allows us to spread positive Albuquerque content. So you can sign up here at theloopabq.com, and we'll go ahead and get you hooked up. And that's all positive content. You can, like I said, choose to share or not. Thank you for your time, and that's SwellStarter. I can be moderator. Yeah.
Speaking of moderator.
How about the business side of this? I can see using it for my company, but how would I go about using it? When you get a launch
Yeah, so the business side of this, when are we going to launch? How can someone sign up? If they want to use this for their business, how does that work out? This is one of the complications of building something internally. We have an advertising agency to run, and so everybody who's doing this is doing this, as their 20% project. We have built in the front e-commerce platform. It's not live yet. As soon as that goes live, you'll be able to go on like any other SaaS platform, pay your, it's depending on how many users, it's probably going to work out to $1 a user that's in your hub. So for a small business, that can be $20 to $25 a month. But that's not quite built. If we do have people that are really interested, we can do some one-off beta testing, or we can build it in. But the e-commerce front end isn't built yet. But if you are really interested, come talk to me. Yes.
So I've been part of the early. I've been one of the early adapters. What have you guys learned, and how have you quantified the impact that this has had on Albuquerque so far?
Yeah. So I'm sorry, your name. Christy has been a part of the loop, and so she's wondering what our impact early on has been. What's the impact of our advocacy marketing, I guess. So for Albuquerque, we measure a lot of things: positive, negative sentiment, the increase of volume and conversation, and these are all things that can tie over into a business's social media. So we have seen increased sentiment, positive sentiment. We've seen off the charts increase in social media mentions about #ABQ, Albuquerque, and it's all positive stuff. We do have, if you do join the loop, we do have about every quarter a reports meeting where you can kind of figure out and look at, we've been taking a baseline for the past year, and you can see the growth just in Albuquerque content alone. And those same reports are available for a business, so you can see your reach beyond just tracking a link. And the biggest power of this is you already have these employees. You already have these advocates in your club or your team, and they're just not being utilized. And they're already trying to share positive content about your company, but it's hard to find content. We found a lot of people wanted to share positive Albuquerque content, but it's hard. You have to take an hour in the morning to go through all the local publications, and you have to go through the nationals. And by the time you have 10 pieces of positive content, you're already 3 hours into your workday. And so that's the power of Swell Starter. I'm going to actually bring Max up really quick. He's the technical co-founder, and he may have some knowledge in some of these answers too, just so he's up here with me. Or not. Yeah.
So how is the content derived, and does it stay proprietary, or a portion of it stays proprietary?
So how's the content derived? How do we get the content in there? We are an advertising agency, so we do offer curation services. This is part of the play and why we built Swell Starter. We have to figure out where's our revenue continuing to come from. So for the Loop, we have a curation team internally at the agency. We can offer curation services as an agency. That's outside of the scope of just the software. As the admin, you have the ability to go in and curate on your own. So you would be relying on someone within your organization, or we would hope a few people within your organization to curate content. And we would say, depending on the amount of content, that's going to be what your schedule is going to be. So if you can pull in enough, you can have a weekly schedule or a daily schedule. If you can't, we would recommend a monthly schedule and just update it when you get new pieces of content. Yes?
Two questions. One, are you going to be seeking financing to expand at some point?
So, we're bootstrapped and we can survive off of 20%, but the sales and e-commerce portion, support, that's all stuff that we meet with all the time, and it's kind of it's groundbreaking territory for us because we are an advertising agency. So he asked if we're going to seek additional financing. It's not out of the picture. One of the things is we'd love to be involved with an accelerator and incubator, but we all have full-time jobs, and so unless we're pulling someone in on the project, that's all they're doing. Max and I can't leave in order to do this. Yeah.
Follow-up question. This is a feedback. There's a lot of jargon. If you have an elevator pitch or elevator speech, describe what this is precisely so the average person can understand.
Yeah. Do we have an elevator pitch? It's in development. It changes all the time. Depending on who I'm talking to, it's going to definitely change. There are people in social media. So if we went the enterprise route and we tried to sell us to Pepsi or Coke or whatever, I mean, they would understand advocate marketing, and that's all I'd have to say. We have a cheaper, better, more efficient advocate marketing tool, and that would be the sell for the enterprise route. Is it as robust as the other tools that are out there? No. But if all they're interested is advocate marketing, getting content to your people, and allowing them to deliver it in the most efficient way, then we have the tool for you. But, we're trying to figure out who's our niche, who is this going to work really well for, and because it's such a broad, defined category, I mean, anybody, like I said, that's involved with social media, involved with some kind of group, organization, company, team, that's kind of our target. And so we're working on figuring out a niche. Like, does this work for church groups and nonprofits, and should we develop a vertical marketing push for that? Does this work really well for teams or startups, and should we make a push for that? So I don't know if that answered your question completely. Okay.
So it seems like it would be a really great thing for solopreneurs, just because that's where I run out of time in sharing my content or asking people to share it and doing a little bit of the curating. It's not that I don't want to do it better, but I run out of time. And so it seems like it would be a really big time saver for those kind of people. So I would just suggest if you scale it, not to overload
Solopreneurs.
small businesses, because it's kind of the same thing as if you're a bigger club.
Yeah, so she said it seemed like it'd be a good thing for small business, solopreneurs. And that's one of the reasons why we're making this push, because the other advocate marketing tools that are out there are enterprise level stuff. I mean, they're all going after the Cokes and the Pepsis, et cetera. And we knew we could simplify it and make it available. And, the only tool right now that you kind of have that can do this is a monthly email blog or a weekly email post that has your content in there. But it's not really easy for them to share. They'd have to go to that post, share from that page, and you're not able to really track that stuff. I mean, you can put in links, but you're not really going to track the longevity of that link. Yeah.
Entrepreneurship can be really tough. Being an entrepreneur with an existing business. Can you talk a little bit about the lab that you all have at 17 Over?
Yeah.
How that helped launch that stuff?
Yeah. So we find that kind of talking a little bit about building a company, being an entrepreneur within an existing agency, and there are definitely difficulties, but there are definitely ease. If you can convince your boss to give you 20%, you can build pretty much anything within our lab space. So we designate a space downstairs in our building. We have interns down there at times. We have our creative team down there at times. Everybody in the agency can use the space to start to build things. We've worked on some hardware projects. This software project, a few other softwares have spun out of this lab space. But the real benefit is having the team already available. If we need creative assets, we have the team, and so we just have to kind of figure out how to build that back to this project, and that's our investment as a company. We have development and technical in-house, so if we need that, that's available. We obviously have marketing and advertising services in-house. Did you have a follow-up? That's good. Yeah, but the space is actually, we designated physical space in our building just for this, and I think that's one of the most powerful things you can do, because otherwise you're constantly trying to figure out how to make space. So if you have this space, it's much easier, a lot less barrier to get started. Yes?
I love your idea. It sounds like it would be really useful for a lot of businesses. My question is, I'm trying to really understand what he's talking about. Who would use this? So, who you could sell this to? And I'm wondering, say I had an engineering firm and I had 100 people in that firm. Is that the type? And I want those people in the firm to be proud of my firm and to be sharing the content of the great projects that we're doing around town. Is that the type of company is that an example of who would be using that?
Yeah, so who, really, let's dive into who can use this. She used an example of an engineering firm. So we're in the business of content strategy and content marketing on its own at an advertising agency. The problem is if you push too hard, people are going to ignore, and you're just adding more noise into this conversation. And so as a business, we need to come out and present ourselves as a thought leader in the space and give our prospects or coworkers great content that they want to view. And when it's flooded and you're in this crowded space, it's really hard to do that. So as a company, an engineering firm, you want all of your employees to not only feel like the firm is a thought leader in the space, but then anybody that they're connected to, you want it to come back on the company and make sure the company looks great. And that they're thought leaders and they're providing their prospects or their clients with great information all the time. And without a tool like this, you have 100 people at your firm, they're spreading out 100 different messages 10 times a week, 1,000 pieces of messages, 1,000 messages. With a piece of software like this, you know what messages are being spread. I mean, they can still go on their own and augment with other pieces of content. But at least you know that they're at a great starting point and they're spreading really great information. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it can work for anyone like that, even really small businesses. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just trying to see how you get
Did you present on the landscaping?
Yeah.
So like something like, do you send out a monthly email digest or some kind of content or?
I have a blog and I present monthly content, weekly content.
Yeah.
My email list to social media and all that.
So if you had this group of advocates or evangelists that really wanted to spread this same content, but it's hard for them to find it, you could set something up like this, and that's your gift to them. And in turn, they can come back through you because you can feed your blog posts through this, and now you have this network of 25, 50, 100 people now spreading your blog posts around, and hopefully it comes back around to you. Yes?
So in terms of like competition or alternatives, one alternative that doesn't cost anything would be, like for me at Cause Labs, the @Cause Labs and Cause Labs and LinkedIn, they're doing that content, they're curating, and we're just asking and training our employees to read, follow, and retweet. So the parent brand becomes the hub, and you just train your employees to follow and retweet that.
Yep.
Persona. So what's the advantage?
Exactly. So one of the free competitors that we have right now is you have 10, 15, 20 employees. Let's just train them to retweet everything. Let's train them to, anytime we push anything out, to retweet, repost. It's not coming from their voice. That's the biggest thing. It's not coming directly from them. It's retweeting from a main place. And in advocate marketing, if it looks like, and that's also one of the pitfalls of this, you need to make sure that it doesn't, in all of your stuff, it can't be too pushy, it can't be too commercialized. You have to make sure you're putting out a lot of really great relevant content, even if it's not directly related back to you. And the trust factor on a person's profile posting something versus a retweet from a brand goes up exponentially. And you see that in the amount of shares and views and posts from that person versus if it looks like and appears like it's coming directly from them, which it is through Swell Starter, versus a retweet or a repost. Yes?
So kind of a technical question that built on that. Is there a way, I saw the curated content and have links to articles, but is there a way to add your own LinkedIn or change the wording just a little bit so that voice of individuals comes through?
Yeah, exactly. So within a post, a majority of posts, and each social network is a little bit different. With a tweet, you obviously are only getting the tweet 140 characters, input a link. So for example, the question was, as an admin, can you go in and customize the content so it's not just passing something through? So with Facebook and LinkedIn, we're pulling in the photo, we're pulling in the headline, and the content. You have the ability to personalize the comment, which is the top box, the personalization. And when someone comes in there to actually share it, they have the ability to change the comment as well. So it really is their voice. So what we like to do is we like to preset it with something that would work if someone were really busy and just needed to hit share. But we always recommend that individual person updates the content in some way, keeping the URL intact, because that's an important tracking aspect. More questions? Yes?
I was just thinking here about, so you're making it really easy to share great content, and I get that. My question is, so there's that human aspect to sharing, right? And adding the human voice, and there being educational, so every company or business will be educate the employees on how to add their
So is there some training involved when you roll this out? You want to make sure that this is really personalized and it doesn't seem like it's coming directly from the company. And so, yes, there is some education involved in, if you're really busy, everybody, go ahead and share. But let's work on how we personalize something. And part of our rollout for the front-end site and the e-commerce site is a bunch of FAQ videos, training videos, and stuff that a small business wouldn't have to do on their own. They could shoot that out in an email to their coworkers. And, this is the tip for the week. Don't use more than 3 hashtags, and make sure you're keeping the URL intact. And, so some tips on a weekly basis would be part of the front-end site. Yes?
One more thing, sorry. The follow-up engagement, right? Having a conversation about that post you just shared. So how is that addressed with this software?
So the admin has the follow-up conversation. You're talking about, the reach and...
Like if it goes out there and somebody's like, I really love that article, that was such a great, thanks for sharing. And then you have your person back in the company, the engineering company, saying, so glad you liked it, here's something else you might like. Like it's the conversation, having that conversation.
The conversation would happen on the platform. What happens after the initial share, if there's a lot of conversation that happens, the conversation would happen back in the platform through the URL. We have some linking capabilities. But yeah, it would all happen in the platform. The power is in this initial advocate push to get all these people to spread it out. You hope that it has the positive impact of starting all of these conversations and comments, and that would be the goal.
And the final question, just to restate maybe, what can we as a community do to help you and help this?
Yeah. One thing that I didn't mention before was mentors. If people have started companies within companies, I don't know if there's anybody out there, but definitely reach out to us, and we'd love some feedback on that. My email is brad@swellstarter.com, so if you could reach out there. Join the loop, because again, that does 2 things. It helps us with this cause of spreading positive stuff about Albuquerque, because there's a lot of negative stuff out there. And again, if it's not your voice, just pass on it. It's not an issue, really. But if we get everybody to share 1 piece of content a month, that's 1 piece that wouldn't have been out there. So join the Loop ABQ. And if you guys are really interested in starting this, we are taking some beta testers, and so we can discuss what that would look like as of now. But thanks again.
Great. Have a round. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Another great day. This is sort of a creative Wednesday here in Albuquerque. It's been a fantastic week or more. It's been a pretty good year. But with last week, Yelptropolis, Creative 505. This week we've got the Albuquerque Film and Music Experience. So a lot of great creative stuff going on here in town. Among other things, Creative Startups, their accelerator is now open for applications. So check out, I think it's createstartups.org, if I recall correctly. Creativestartups.org. Excellent. You can see that young lady in the back, and she'll give you some more information. It's also Entrepreneurial Wednesday. There's some special information in addition to the usual 3 to 5 p.m. entrepreneurial office hours. Do we have Mr. Webb Johnson in the house to give us a couple seconds on the pre-event at 2 to 3?
Sure. Bienvenidos, damas y caballeros. Oh, wait, I'm not translating.
All right, now.
Just kidding, unless you were here last week. We have a really special, incredible guest today. Immediately prior to entrepreneurial office hours over at ABQID, his name is Benson Garner. He's actually a co-author and partner of Alexander Osterwalder, the gentleman who wrote Business Model Generation, developed a business model canvas. Benson actually is a colleague in the Strategizer company. He's actually going to be doing a presentation open to the public over at ABQID from 2 to 3 p.m. On value proposition design. For all of you startups in the room, this is an outstanding opportunity to check him out. He is world class. And if you have trouble trying to translate your problems into a testable hypothesis, he is a craftsman. There was one more, but I can't remember what it is. Oh, yeah. ABQID and the Soul. I saw Ron sneak in. Ron's all the way in the back. Ron Patel.
Ron Patel. Just kidding. Yeah, now you're paying attention. We will have a ABQ ID with the Seoul Entrepreneurial Community Day at the Seoul on June 20th. Look for that invitation. We're going to actually be suiting out and taking shots on goal. Maybe taking shots on Ron. I don't know. And Jan Maples today at 5 p.m. Culture is important in your startup. Jan Maples is a outstanding human resource guru, and she'll be actually presenting at 5 p.m. this afternoon after entrepreneurial office hours. Sorry for the delay.
Excellent. All sorts of great stuff going on. Also tonight, ABQ Web Geeks is doing their community update. That's over at the Red Door Brewery from 6:30 p.m. Tomorrow morning at South Valley Economic Development Center is Tazas, the Spanish language or bilingual version of 1 Million Cups. Also tomorrow morning, National Girlfriends Networking Day is here at Fat Pipe from 9:30 a.m. Great entrepreneurial group, and have some other folks piped in. This weekend, Create-a-thon from AIGA&M and Code for Albuquerque. So coders and designers getting together to help nonprofits. That's also at the South Valley Economic Development Center. I already mentioned Creative Startups applications are now open. We want to thank some sponsors. Yeah, Sabio Systems is great. They help us out with coffee from week to week. They're a big supporter. Fat Pipe ABQ, we couldn't do them without, do these events without the great folks at Fat Pipe. How about a round for both of them? Yes. I also want to thank Nick Lehman. We are streaming live. We also want to thank C&M Stimulus Center for helping out with that. Yeah, so we've got this piped around the country, and we've got users, the world. No, stop that. We don't want to be in Korea. And we want to thank Hartford Square. Hartford Square it's their anniversary. It's their first birthday. They've left some extra goodies in the back. Hartford Square is awesome. Second anniversary? That's right. Oh, my heavens. I should just shut up. And the last notice is that there are going to be some promotional photos and video afterwards for Fat Pipe ABQ. Stay on if you're interested and talk to either Lisa or Heather for more information on that. Without further ado, I will hand it off to Dara. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. I have the pleasure of introducing a woman after my own heart. Tess Coates is here to talk about Spectacle Caravan.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. It's been kind of a quick opportunity to get to know everybody within the 1 Million Cups community, and it's nice to see some familiar faces out there. I just quickly want to thank Eric and the team of 1 Million Cups for letting an actual startup business come and present to you guys today. So please definitely let me know if you have any questions, and I hope I can answer all of those. I am launching a mobile retail boutique out of a vintage Airstream called Spectacle. You can see here a little bit about me. Whoa. And it's not holding. Give us one sec. Just want to tell you a little bit about me. I'm a mother. I also, much like all of us entrepreneurs in startups, I do still work in a retail facility. I am a fashion blogger, of a street style blog, social media maven, and a merchandiser and a trend watcher. So that's kind of the backstory about me. I've worked with designers, wholesalers, and retailers for about 13 years. I attended the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in Los Angeles, where I studied visual communications in fashion merchandise marketing. And, sorry, having some troubles with this. Here we are. Next. So far, the things that I've actually worked on to get this business started is I attended New York Now, which is a space at the Javits Center where everybody that is wholesale purchases their products. I also found the Airstream in which I'll be selling out of, and I've bargained with the owner of it. I applied for Hopepreneurs Hope Scholarship, and I also attended their conference. I pitched my business plan at Women's Startup Weekend, and it was very awesome and such a great an experience right here in this space. I became a semifinalist for a small business grant through Idea Cafe, and just over the weekend I made it to the most popular page, and that is out of 2,000 applicants. So speaks volumes, and I believe I'm the only New Mexican on that small business grant. And I'll show you guys in a little bit where you can find that page to go vote for me. I received mentoring from an angel investor called, her name is Jen Wedgie. And I also consulted with the interior and furniture designer Rocky Norton, who is going to do the demo and remodel of the inside of the Airstream. Some of you may be familiar with his work at Zendo. He does all of the furniture there. I interviewed with Dan Mayfield on the Morning Brew just last week. And I also researched permits and licensing, and had a consult with one of the lawyers at ABQ ID, which was really excellent. And of course, I've written my business plan, still working on financials, my profit and loss, cash flow, break-even analysis, things like that. I have also launched my Indiegogo campaign, which you can actually find here to learn a little more actually about the business, and you can understand more of my model, the aesthetic of everything, and what that will look like. And then, without further ado, I also was at the Creative 505 event. That was the first ever, thanks to Cara, last weekend, and it was a huge success. And that's where I actually made it to the most popular page on the Idea Cafe Small Business Grant. So just trying everything I can and tapping into every avenue possible as a startup business to not begin with too much debt. And it's having a hard time again. Give us a moment. So here's a few examples of what I'll carry. The products that I'm offering is more like a well-curated lifestyle, home, giftable type things. Kind of think you go there not looking for anything in particular, but end up finding something really unique that's not offered in Albuquerque. This is a little infographic that I had a little help with making, but I think it just speaks volumes to the research that I've done so far and just explaining what my startup costs will be. And with that, with the Indiegogo campaign, I am trying to acquire the Airstream. So that's my first main goal at the moment. And then the rest you can see in your seat. Most of you will have that, and just explaining what it looks like to get started. My overhead costs will be really low because obviously I won't have rent. There's less issues with if I have a slow day, I can just pack up and move to a different area of town, which is my main goal. With this, I also have a larger scalable growth plan to develop a hub or a pod, much like you see in Austin or Portland and other larger cities, where all things mobile are, primarily food trucks and things like that. So that is a huge goal of mine upon launching my own business, is to further the community of that. So here's where you can reach me. Just a couple of little, my website, Indiegogo campaign is the best place to learn more about me. Not only am I fundraising, but I'm really trying to use this as a customer validation platform to understand if people really are excited about it. I'm 25% funded in, I think, what is it, like 5 days? So it's pretty good. It's a great start. And I just want to take a moment to show you where I am in the ranks live right now on the 16th annual Small Business Grant through Idea Cafe. Give us just a moment. And with that, we actually need votes. So it's the semifinals is actually 100% crowd judged. So I'm really, really pushing for votes. I'm doing as much guerrilla marketing as I can, showing up to Tasty Tuesdays, flyering, posting up at Zendo this Saturday to get votes, whatever I can do to get that grant. And you can just find that at ideacafe.com, and then you would just go to the 16th annual on the right-hand side. I guess y'all can ask me any questions since we're waiting here, if you have any questions. Sure. Yeah, I was trying to give you a little example of the aesthetic. So my main focus is actually going to be on the lifestyle products, home giftables, primarily artisanal, small business that just make well-crafted items. So that could include textiles, books, stationery, home fragrance, personal wellness, accessories, jewelry. Primarily my customer, I've defined her to be more like in the 25 to even like 70 range, just based on the clients that I've spoken with and just doing a little marketing research. Did that answer your question? Okay. So here we are live. This is actually where you vote, and if they go to the semifinalist link, you'll actually see where I am out of 41 pages of these most popular. I believe I'm 6th right now. So I'm pretty proud of that. Sonia Doing, you may have seen her in the audience, actually helped me with this application. It was quite easy, but I was quite impressed that I made it up with my idea. I'd love if you guys had a moment afterwards. I'll be posted with my laptop. It takes literally a minute for you to vote, so I'll be here if you're willing to do that. Next is my Indiegogo campaign and what that looks like. At the top, I posted the video of myself being interviewed at the Morning Brew. And you can see here, almost 25% funded with 24 days left, and I within a 31-day period. And I guess that's it. I don't really have anything else, unless you guys have any other questions for me. I'm very happy to answer. Yes, ma'am.
What's going to be the range of price points on products, and also, what about geographic spread? Will you be moving on schedule? One of the challenges with food trucks is you can't always find where they are. They go in and out of business. Are you going to have alliances with, like Talon Market, where you may have those food pods? Are you going to go to farmers markets, which might be, a craft-oriented source? People need to be able to find you on a regular basis.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Sure. Yeah. So her question was, and that's a great question, is how will customers find me, and just making sure that they know where I'm at. And I believe you started with another question. What was the price range? So I've actually modestly created my average selling price per item to be probably about 25 to 30. I do plan on carrying a little bit more of a high-end price, but for me to break even, I need to sell about, an average of 5 to 6 items a day at that average selling price. And that's just based also on our demographics and reality of retail and who's shopping. An excellent question. So with having the opportunity to be mobile, literally curbside shopping, I'm not inventing the wheel here. We've seen it in the bigger cities, like you said, but it could be a challenge. So social media presence is huge. But I actually really plan to be posted primarily downtown in a designated area that's accessible, walking and driving. An area, of course, we know there's huge things happening in the innovation district right here. I've even defined a parking lot that I'd love to acquire, which is right across from Flying Star, and I actually live in those lofts right there. It's owned by Gene Remby, and so hopefully I can work with him on that. And that's where the hub or the pod would come in, where we would just lay out some gravel, decorate it nicely, and 50 to some odd mobile boutiques could be, or food trucks. Yes, ma'am?
I'm very intrigued by the hub.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that in Austin, when I've seen it, there are a bunch of food trucks together.
Right.
It's really centered around performance or events. Either there's a stage there or there's several venues nearby.
Right.
What's your vision for kind of generating that kind of foot traffic?
Mm-hmm.
And I was also, it sounded like you were open to retail and food trucks and
Right. Yes, so the question was, how would we generate interest in traffic to the hub or the pod? And also, how would I, see that last question, I'm sorry?
I was just wondering what types of vendors
The vendors, okay. Yeah, so my goal, because of course here I am a startup retail in this economic climate, we see the A-store closing, things like that, is to really nourish that community of all things mobile. We see food trucks popping up overnight. I've known of 2 mobile boutiques that I don't believe are even in existence anymore. So it's not quite an untapped market, but it's also something that I know is a challenge. So I want to be able to, again, food trucks, carts. I've had people that I've spoken to that want to start a mobile makeup boutique or so many things like that. I don't want it to be just a one-man band. I really want to nourish the community of that. In interests, since there are so many things going on, Creative 505, Innovate, ABQ, everything like that, I would love to pull together and do some cross-promoting. My big goal is actually to work with some of the bigger companies that I have great communication with and connections, Marble Brewery, Zindo, things like that, to always have something that brings people out. I mean, our weather's so permitting of it. Why don't we do it? Yeah. Hey, Kara. Okay. Sure, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm. Right. Work on. Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good point. Yeah, so Cara was talking about just location, getting back to that again, which is pretty crucial, and making sure that I'm in a high traffic area. If somebody's on their lunch break, a really quick 15-minute to get a gift for the boss, whatever it is, that is definitely a huge part of my model, is to be able to pack up and go. So I'm so passionate about bringing the business downtown, so I always stick to my guns and saying that I'll have that space where everybody will know where they can find me downtown. But by all means, certainly, I have the beauty of just leaving and going, and I have my thumb on the pulse of everything that's going on in the city, and I'm always there. So why not bring the mobile boutique?
I was just going to add on to that, thinking about partnering with like Summerfest.
Yes. Yeah, Dara just mentioned Summerfest, and it's something I've actually already started looking into. Even right now, since I don't have the business, I'll still show up if you'll have me, just to get the word out there. But yes, like Dara said, just to continue being at those events. I mean, there's tons of them, as long as you know about it. And I also envision, I hear all the time, hey, how do you know about these excellent things that are going around town? Because I want to know. I want to be there. So I want to be another destination to bring folks and support the community. Hi.
Do you have a prospective launch date? And part of your business, you build, I guess, say you launch in October.
Exactly.
For your sales might drop. And that was the first question. Second question I asked is something that a lot of retailers are missing out on. I had talked to them in February, that's what I'm talking about, is it would be nice if there was a way for men to be able to shop for wives or girlfriends. Have you thought about that angle, and how are you going to approach that?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So to answer your last question, I definitely have considered that. What I've done in my entire retail experience is I've researched, I've paid attention, and I've tuned in to how they're doing it and how they're successful. So I've even had a great idea of, for example, for Mother's Day, let's say, she would create a wish list, and with that we would mail it to the husband or the partner, whoever, and actually give them that opportunity to do a personal shopping experience, and then with a discount kind of thing. Little events like that, always going around to offer the experience for you to shop, for your wife or partner, daughter, or whatever it is. But yes, thank you. Yeah, so that's one thing that I'm looking at while I'm crunching my numbers, is just being realistic about business and having folks actually, come shop and find me in the cold. So one of my biggest places that you'll probably find me posted, which is an excellent partnership, is with Marble. They don't allow just anybody to pull up, and so I have a permanent weekend spot with them, at least throughout those winter months, and then of course just being where the action is, always taking it where people are. Hi. Yeah, so my kind of another growth plan for me is going to be within that year, watching how my product development is, seeing how profitable I can be, and having that web presence, and really just getting into that whole thing. I see all these incredible just artisanal companies all around the globe that you find them on Instagram, but you might not see them anywhere, or Pinterest or anything like that. So I would still be able to, grow their business and offering their product from my website. So that's my goal. Hi.
First of all, Cass, I got a lot of respect for you. Really applaud.
Thank you.
Your passion. You're awesome.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Keep going.
Yeah.
I share that passion with you. And what I've had to get good at is whenever I'm passionate about something like the location downtown, add the quantifiable inputs to that. So use that creativity you naturally have to find the creative ways to bring some unbiased, quantifiable validation or invalidation of some assumptions. And you could spend a weekend, while you're not launched, sitting in intersections, talking to businesses,
right,
and jotting down tick marks of how many people do pass by that area.
Great point.
And gather some data to balance the natural passions and intuitions, so you don't land somewhere where you're landing somewhere else.
Absolutely, TJ. What he was mentioning, and it's actually speaking to Bob Frank just last week, he was saying the same thing. He's in Innovate ABQ, and he's like, go to Nob Hill. Like, come on. Like, that's where the business is. So you're right, trying not to have that biased opinion of where I want the business to grow, but also doing a little bit of customer validation, getting out there, doing the numbers, and just seeing what traffic looks like. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they allow certain people to come in and actually do game selling.
Mm-hmm.
People are known for this because they generate gift and can do it at the holidays.
Right.
Negotiate with business, but sometimes people want to keep their employees working. Hey, I can just drop down and get something to eat, and I can knock out any Christmas business.
Absolutely, yeah. Good point on that. And speaking with Eric actually last week, another kind of scalable growth plan for myself is going to continue that community of curbside shopping. So maybe I could be the producer or the organizer where Zendo Coffee, I know I keep using these same references, they're like, hey, we're having our second anniversary, we're having an art show, I need food, I need this, I need that. Great. As long as we can nourish that community to keep building more of the mobile, I can organize that. And like you were saying, having little pop-ups where it's an entire collection or a cooperative or grouping of people. Yes, ma'am.
I almost wonder if you could possibly put like mobile maps.
Yeah.
Into your Airstream.
That's
so
neat.
People go to your Facebook page and they go to your social media site. They can actually access where you're located at all times.
Love that.
And so I don't know how you're going to do that, but I wonder if there's someone in the room that can maybe point you in that direction.
Sure.
So every time that they get on your social media, they know where you're at. So something like that.
That's really good, actually. What I'm trying to do, too, is get in touch with pretty much the entire food truck community. Supper Truck was huge, of course, and, everybody that you typically see at Tasty Tuesday. So what Nicole said is actually inventing or creating a map where, there's certain destinations that I can always be expected at, and I would use those through my social media platforms. I love that. That's great. Yes, sir.
Consider different model, like a work marketplace.
Right. So kind of like a pop-up in somebody's house or like near their home or a party? Absolutely. Yes, it's great actually. So very similar to like Stella and Dot and other models like that. Yeah, absolutely. I'm very interested. Right. Accessibility. Sure. Yeah, exactly. It's great. I love that idea. Absolutely. Thank you.
One more question.
And any more questions? Okay.
So I guess our question for you is, what can this community do for you?
Just please get the word out there. Let folks know. I know it's not for everybody, but I certainly know that you know somebody who would love shopping and finding something unique. I just really want to bring that unimagined experience to Albuquerque. Just like when you're out traveling in a bigger city and you go into those stores and you wish we had that. That's what I want to bring. And please check out my Indiegogo. Just even any feedback would be excellent. Spread the word. Let your friends know. And the other really entertaining thing that would be fun is, when we do have the demo, just come out and check it out. I'd love to show you what the before and after looks like, because we will be using pieces that we pull out to reconstruct into furniture. So we're not just tossing it. I don't want to get rid of that golden 60s and 70s fun wooden paneling. So just follow my journey, and appreciate your time, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So if you, I got the mic right here. So if you have a business story you want to share, like Swell Starter or Spectacled Caravan this morning, please go out to our website, 1 Million Cups, look for Albuquerque, and apply. We would love to have you up here. Again, we'd like to thank Sabio Systems for the coffee this morning, Hartford Square for celebrating their 2nd year anniversary with us and bringing us treats, Fat Pipe ABQ, and you're welcome to stick around. Today you have squatter hours here for free, right, Lisa? Okay, yeah, and if you want to be on the in front of the camera, for your 15 seconds of fame to talk about Fat Pipe, we would love that. Thank you, Nick Lehman Media, for live streaming this morning, and thank you all for